Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
So today we make an interview, around 10 minutes, and we want to ask you some few questions. So one of them, what is your background?
Okay. I obviously, you know that I grew up in America. I was born in Chicago, and I went to high school, of course. And after high school in Chicago, I went to a different state called Ohio, and I went to the Ohio State University. Basically, I changed my major. The first 2 years, I was a double major in Arabic and Chinese. I thought they were both, important languages, and in the future they will be very important. And I like talking to people, so I thought it would be fun. I had to switch after 2 years of college. I came to Egypt. It wasn't possible to study Chinese at AUC. So I continued with the Arabic, and I switched to Arabic and international relations with a focus on world economy and business. So after graduating, let's see, I took about a year doing different jobs, random different jobs, and then I decided to come back to Egypt because I loved it. I had friends here, and I started working in a language center just to make some money while I was here visiting. And then the visiting became permanent. I decided I wanted to continue with teaching, and I really enjoyed it. And so I became a teacher. I've taught at Nermeen Ismail American School, Shoifat, Continental School in the board, and now here I am at San Fatima.
Were you good in English when you were in school or college?
Yes, I definitely was very good in English. I guess because it's my language, of course, I'm good at English, but also I took an interest in it. I was very good at grammar in high school, and I think it was probably also the reason I'm a teacher. It all started when I was in year 12 in high school. I had the best teacher in the world, and I still keep in touch with him sometimes. His name was Jeff Berger-White, and he taught me to love literature, and I started writing as well at that time. I started reading everything there was to read. I started to fall in love with poetry because of him. Before that class, I made fun of poetry. I thought it was cheesy and stupid. Because of his class, I fell in love with poetry, both reading it and writing it. And to this day, I still adore reading, and I am also something of a writer. So yeah, I'd say it was quite good. Even in college, as an Arabic and Chinese major, or Arabic and international business, I still took a number of elective courses in creative writing and things like that, just as a hobby, because I definitely love it. And yeah, I think I'm good at it, I hope, because I'm teaching it.
So, and what kinds of jobs are available from graduates from your department in college?
Well, I suppose it's interesting. The fun thing about college is you get to study whatever you want. It's your choice, kind of, for the first time in your life, which I loved. The fun thing about college is you can go and study medicine and become a doctor, or you can go and study medicine, and next thing you know, you're teaching English or something else. Mr. Hisham, for example, was a pharmacist before he became an English teacher. So that's the funny thing about college. Sometimes your major leads you to your job, and other times you end up doing something totally different. But I'll pretend that I was an English major, for example, for the sake of the interview. For someone who studies English in college, you can get a job, of course, teaching. That's always an option, and you can continue to teach, get your master's, your PhD, become a professor one day. That's something I might consider. I like the idea of that. There's also things like journalism, becoming a writer for a magazine or a newspaper. Many people decide to do journalism as well, being a news anchor, for example, being on camera. And I suppose there's always the option, if you don't like money very much and you like life being a struggle, there's always the option of being a writer, which, it's very difficult to become successful as a writer and become famous. But of course, a lot of people have that in mind. But college is great because you never know what's going to happen after college. And I would say that an English major, for example, could end up in so many different positions. But those are just kind of some of the most common ones.
What experience brought you to teach in San Fatima?
In San Fatima? Well, I'll tell you, I was at a school last year. It kind of happened by coincidence that I am a high school teacher. I have been doing it for 3 years. And last year, because of some personal issues in my life, I went to a school. I was offered a position teaching year 5 English, which was totally different for me, and I learned a great deal. I will say that switching from high school to little kids, it's very different. So I learned a lot, and I'm grateful for the experience, but to get back to where I think I belong, which is high school, and where I have more fun. And St. Fatima seems like a great choice for me because I know it's a good school. I've heard of its reputation. It's been around for a long time. It's very close to my house, which usually is not a huge factor for me, but I was teaching in Abur City, and I live here in Ardagov. So being offered a position at a school which I heard was a good school and was also about 5 minutes away from my house really made a difference because I didn't like traveling for 2 hours every day to come home. So that was also part of it. But I'm very happy here. I think I made the right choice. I really like it.
So based on what do you choose your curriculum for the students?
Well, it's complicated, especially this year. This year the school is trying to get accreditation from Advanced Ed, which is an American company that basically goes around the world, and being accredited means this company says, okay, you're officially on our list, you're doing a good job of teaching the American curriculum properly. When it came to me as a new teacher in the school, I was able to choose some of the stories that we read and things like that. But our curriculum is essentially, I don't want to say it's decided by the American government. It doesn't work the same way as it does here in Egypt with the ministry. But there's a standardized curriculum of, they're called standards, things that students should learn every year and even in every chapter. And I'm sure if you pay attention to your book, if you open up to the beginning of the story that we're about to read, you'll see a small paragraph describing the standards that students are expected to learn at the end of that lesson. So my job as a teacher was to communicate with the entire department. And for example, all of the grade 10 literature teachers, me and Mr. Becca at this point, sit and talk and decide which stories we're going to take this year and what standards we want to learn. You know, for example, finding evidence in the text to support our opinion. That's one type of standard. And then after we do that, we do something called the yearly plan, which is pretty much what it sounds like. And then we have to break the yearly plan into a weekly plan, and it's a whole bunch of obnoxious paperwork for the teachers, but this is the job. And then in the end, each teacher can take that weekly plan and do their own individual daily lesson plans from it. That's where the creative part comes in. So everything is decided for us what we're going to do, but each teacher gets to decide a little bit more about how they're going to do it, decide on their own activities or things like that.
What do you like the best about your job?
What do I like the best about my job? Probably my favorite thing about the job is the students. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but basically I like getting to know the students as people. I enjoy that. I like to see that, okay, this is more than just, someone who is doing my work in class. Throughout the year, you learn a lot about people and who they are, and I'm still learning about you guys, in the second quarter, and by the end of a full year, I feel like if things go well, if I'm being successful and I'm doing my job right, hopefully I have some students that feel that they learned something from me and they enjoyed my company and they liked getting to know me a little bit too. Probably my favorite thing about life in general is just relationships, just meeting people and getting to know them, things like that. So it translates to the job as well. And I love when students come to me outside of class and feel like they can talk to me about things or ask my help about things. It makes me feel important, more than just offering education, but there's a human connection there as well.
So how many years have you been working as a teacher?
It's been about 5 years now. I started in the beginning of 2010, or I guess I started towards the end of 2009 actually, so about 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit more.
What do you like least about your job?
What do I like least about my job? Well, I'll say 2 things. One thing that I don't like about my job is sometimes there's too much work for a teacher outside of what they're supposed to be doing in class. I feel like it takes away from my ability to plan really awesome lessons and have enough time to really get to know the kids a lot. Sometimes all of the extra paperwork and things like that, it's for the administration or it's for the school to keep in their files, but it's not for me. It doesn't help me. So sometimes I feel like some of my time that I want to give to my lessons and my students is taken away. And of course there's the obvious answer. The least favorite part of the job also is that sometimes, even though I try so hard not to be the type of teacher that gets upset and screams and things like that, there are, of course, situations where certain students will make my blood boil, and my blood pressure rises. And I wish, I don't want to feel that, It's very obnoxious sometimes when certain students drive you crazy. But it's part of the job, there's good and bad, and even the students that drive me crazy, I've never said that I don't like students. I stand by that. I know it sounds like a lie, like a parent doesn't have a favorite student, a favorite sibling or son. But yeah, I think it's just part of the job. There's ups and downs no matter in life, right? No matter what job you have.
So what are your ambitions for the future in your personal life and your school or your job?
Wow. Let's see. With my job, I want to, now that I have a very busy schedule this year. It's the busiest I've had at any school in 5 years. I'm not so upset about that because I'm very happy here and I'm enjoying it. But it's been very difficult to adjust to a schedule this busy. So my ambition for this school year at least is to, now that I've kind of got the hang of things and I'm managing all my different classes and different subjects better, my ambition is to kick butt. My ambition is to really do an awesome job as a teacher, and that means seeing my students being successful. And we talked about this in class actually. I just want to see all of my students giving the best that they have, because I know that my students are awesome because they're people. And I believe all people are awesome deep down. They have awesomeness inside of them. It just needs somehow to bring it out. So I'm not so sure of myself that I'm amazing and I can bring out the best in everyone, but I sure hope to. And I'd love to be responsible for bringing out the best in some students that don't always give their best. I'd love to be responsible for kind of inspiring them in the same way that my high school, my AP English teacher taught me and inspired me. As far as my personal life, wallahi, I have no idea. I love learning. I'll learn my whole life, but I think I'd probably like the idea of going back to university, maybe to get a master's or a PhD, like I said. Of course, I'd like to get married one day, but not tomorrow, not anytime soon. And have children and have a good job and travel the world. I want a simple life where I'm able to see the world and see people and be happy. And hopefully one day go back home and see my family, because I do miss them. It's hard to be here sometimes. But thank you so much.
Thank you.